Joining us now, Marc Lotter. Marc is the Director of Strategic Communications for Trump-Pence 2020. He's on the line. He's live in Miami with me. Marc, great to have you, man.
John, we've spent so much time in Florida right now, I think we're going to become residents.
I know, right? We were here in Orlando last week, and Kara, who does, my executive producer, does our weather. Like, I couldn't figure out, she was texting me the heat index, and I'm like, what's heat index? I mean, it's 97 degrees. It's 97. What is the heat index? 107. This is my third day. Now I get what the heat index says. All I know, Marc, is it's hot. But what about the debate last night? Can I just ask you something? Can you help me understand, Marc, what on earth is reproductive justice?
You got me. Clearly, it's not justice for the babies that are about to be born that Democrats believe can be aborted right up to the moment of birth. It's amazing how far left they have strung. I mean, I said it last night in some of the previews. I thought the first night of the debate, and I have no doubt tonight, will be another 2-hour infomercial for the re-election of Donald Trump. They actually ought to give it as an in-kind contribution to our campaign, because when the American people see what they're standing for, they're just going to go, well, we got to keep this going with Donald Trump.
I would say he was a big winner last night. I mean, the amount of proposals. I tell you the other interesting thing, and I know you've been around like me a long time, was watching Amy Klobuchar, who she's a liberal, but she's not nuts, okay? Watching her squirm last night in trying to answer the open borders question. I mean, I was laughing my tail off there when I saw that. It's like she couldn't even say, well, no, I am for a country. I mean, she couldn't even say that. She's like, well, kind of open, but not exactly open. And then they're like, well, we have to protect the borders, but if anybody comes in illegally, they're good to go. I mean, how do you protect the borders when you have open borders? Help us understand that, Marc.
It's clear from what we saw last night that there is, and we've said this for a while, there is no moderate Democrat in the field that's going to be able to get the nomination. It's not where the radicalized Democrat Party stands right now. You saw it with their call for open borders, decriminalizing coming across our border illegally, so we might as well not even have one. And, I mean, in area after area, it was just on full display, and I think the American people took notice.
If you're watching this debate last night, Marc Lotter, and you're an independent, and maybe you voted for Trump last time, maybe you didn't, but you're not one of the hardcore. And obviously, if you're a hardcore progressive, Marc, I mean, you're going to vote for whoever that Democratic nominee is. But if you're in the middle and you're watching the first hour of this, because it went on till 11 p.m., so we understand that the majority of Americans who did tune it in saw about the first half hour to an hour max and turned it off because they went to bed. They have to get up and go to work. What do you think their take was?
Well, I think one of their candidates, I can't remember which one it was. It might have been one of the congressmen from Ohio or something, who had said basically point blank that the Democrat Party does not represent working Americans anymore. And I think that was about the only nugget of truth that we got out of that debate last night, because they don't. The policies they're endorsing want to reverse all of the gains that we have made under President Trump, whether it's growing paychecks, a record number of, more jobs than there are unemployed people. And paychecks going up faster for the lower and middle income people than they are for the higher income people. These are the successes that we've got. It was completely in denial last night on that stage. And I think it'll even be worse tonight.
What do you think this means, Marc Lotter? By the way, we're chatting with Marc Lotter here. We're both live in Miami, Director of Strategic Communications for Trump-Pence 2020. Marc, what do you think this means for Biden? Because you got Bill de Blasio, who is a crackpot mayor of New York City, where I'm from. He's destroying the city on a daily basis. Subways don't run on time. Nothing works. But basically, he comes out last night. He starts the debate, and he says, the problem is we got plenty of money. The problem is it's in the wrong hands. We need to take it from them and give it to somebody else, right? That's Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. Everybody's clapping. Where does this leave Biden tonight?
Well, I think we've seen, just because, you've seen Joe Biden flip-flop so many times right now, he might as well be at a Jimmy Buffett concert in last week when he abandons things that he used to support, for decades. And like taxpayer-funded abortion, he opposed it for 40 years. And now all of a sudden, because, he has to become part of this new woke Democrat Party, that he's now supports these kinds of things. And so you're going to see him, flop around like a fish tonight, trying to figure out what the new Democrat Party stands for, because it's abandoned the middle. It's abandoned moderates. It's abandoned people who voted for so many years along the Democrat Party lines. And we're seeing it. We're hearing it. You saw outside of that theater last night, there was a big group there supporting the president, including a lot of people holding signs that said Democrats for Trump.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at just that starter show last night and how left they've come, and those of us like yourself and me that have been involved in watching and studying politics and been involved in it for a long time, it was kind of shocking to me to see how far left they've moved. We talk about it, we get the different sound clips on our show, and have some of the candidates have been on my show. But until you saw them all last night fighting each other for the most extreme elements, I think that really came clear. I don't know where they're going with this, but the fact, again, that my biggest takeaway, the fact that Amy Klobuchar last night could not simply say, I am for a country. I mean, she couldn't even say, I'm not for open borders, petrified of the far left wing that wants no country. They just want a landmass and some kind of an administrative state. Now, Marc, comment on this. For 6 months, the Democrats have been saying there's no crisis at the border. You can play an hour of clips on it in a montage. And now they're all saying there's a crisis, and they're blaming Trump. How does that work?
Well, I mean, it's clearly, again, I think one of the symptoms of Trump derangement syndrome is memory loss. Because, you just have to go back to 2014, 2015, when Barack Obama, as president, was telling George Stephanopoulos in an interview that people in Central America should not send their kids to the United States. They should not make that dangerous trek, because even if you come here and make it, you're going to be sent back. He was talking about a humanitarian crisis. Excuse me. He was talking about the fact that escaping poverty is not a reason for asylum. It's not a reason that you can claim asylum in our country. He talked about that crisis. Congress still has not acted. The president has been talking about it. And what we're seeing going on at the southern border is tragic, but it's a result of failed U.S. laws by this United States Congress.
No question about it, Marc. The debate last night was just one of the most unbelievable clown shows I've ever seen. But on the other hand, you have to look at the performance of Elizabeth Warren. I think if you just look at this without our Trump glasses on and just as a pundit, I think she did very well last night. And I think it's going to be between her and Sanders and Biden. But I tell you the other thing, Cory Booker, he had the majority of the time. And we were saying this earlier, Marc. We were searching today for a clip of anything he said that of any significance. We couldn't find one. So we had the majority of the time and said nothing, Cory Booker.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're seeing that the desperation is starting to set in, because a few folks are pulling away. Obviously, Elizabeth Warren is rising in the polls. Joe Biden is falling. Bernie Sanders is just kind of holding serve. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they move on, not only after tonight's debate, but in the next month ahead as they prepare for their next encounter. And meanwhile, President Trump just yesterday again posted a number about $36 million raised in the course of a week between Orlando and now in Miami. And, while the Democrats are cheering themselves when they can raise $1 million, and whoever emerges, they get President Donald Trump, and he's obviously ready to go with a record amount of fundraising and support. And, best of luck to them.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, especially tonight. Do you think any of the Democrats tonight, Marc, are going to actually go after Joe Biden, or are they going to do the Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton shuffle like he did in 15-16 without ever really going after it and actually cost him the nomination? What do you think, Marc?
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see how they approach this, and then how he responds as well. He's trying to stay out of this fray, but many people are saying he's running a half-hearted campaign. And you've even seen a lot of Democrat, experts, pollsters, including people from the Obama administration, who are just questioning whether he has it in him anymore. And he was never a good candidate to begin with for president. I mean, twice before failed, and looks like he's just flailing about right now. So, it'll be a strategic call for those Democrats, and I think things are going to start to get very, very interesting here in the next few months as that primary process unfolds.
All right, we're going to be following it, Mark. We're going to try to get you on tomorrow as well because I'm sure there's going to be some fireworks tonight. These candidates, the other 10, are going to learn from what the first 10 did, and hopefully we'll see that. We're with Marc Lotter, Director of Strategic Communications for Trump-Pence 2020. Mark, I know you got to go. Let me just tell you that the morning card that you put out every day is outstanding work. Keep doing that. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you much. Sorry there won't be one this morning. I'm a little distracted here in Miami.
I get it, but whenever you get them done, we do appreciate that. Marc Lotter, Director of Strategic Communications, Trump-Pence 2020. Mark, thanks for your input. Thanks for being with us.
Always good to be with you, John. Talk to you tomorrow.
John Fredericks Radio Network.